morning. Welcome to Studio One, coming to you from our studio located on the campus of the University of North Dakota. I'm Tom Buring, your host. Up ahead in this half hour, we'll find out why computer retailers are going that extra mile to please consumers. The owner and CEO of Computerland of Chicago, Dick Danstrom, joins us. We'll also talk to Al Eaton, a powerful performer noted for bringing the history of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to life. In our Open Doors segment, the lady who has given us many laughs over the years, Phyllis Diller. But first to the news desk with Amy Bremser. Amy?
Thanks, Tom, and good morning, everyone. Greyhound bus drivers say you can't get there from here, at least not on their buses today. 6,300 drivers are on strike this morning despite federal mediation to settle wage issues. Drivers charged the company with union busting. In Atlanta, passengers say they had no warning. Drivers pulled the buses over and simply told passengers to get off. Scholastic aptitude testing may be biased against women. Sarah Stockwell of the monitoring group Fair Test says some SAT questions are more familiar to men. Lower test scores mean women receive fewer scholarships and job opportunities. SAT program director Nancy Burton says some differences do not stem from biased questions, but from different educations men and women receive. Men, she says, tend to take math and science courses, while women lean toward liberal arts classes. The winter sports season is drawing to a close, but as far as the UND Sioux wrestling and swimming teams are concerned, it is far from over. Both teams have wrapped up their North Central Conference seasons, and as Kent Bergsrud reports, they are now looking forward to nationals.
The Sioux have qualified 6 wrestlers for the NCAA Division II tournament starting today in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Leading the Sioux into competition will be 158-pound national champion Tim Briggs. Sioux wrestling coach Brad Kerr said even though the Sioux finished with a 6-6-1 dual record, it has been an outstanding season.
We've got 6 quality guys that all have a good shot at winning individual titles at their weight class. If we get that kind of performance out of these 6 guys, we'll win that national title.
Kerr said from day one of this season, he and his team have had only one goal in mind.
Our goal from day one is not to win the conference, not to win every duel, it's to win a national title. 10 years from now, they're not going to ask me how many times I've won conference duels or won the conference. They're going to want to know how many times I won the nationals. So we're going to win the nationals, and that's what our goal has been all year.
The Sioux men's and women's swimming and diving teams also have high hopes for the nationals. UND has qualified 19 swimmers to compete at the national meet in Buffalo, New York, March 7th through the 10th. Coach Mike Stromberg said the season has gone exceptionally well for both the men's and the women's teams.
Well, this is probably the best overall season we've ever had. We had a lot of great swims all the way through the season. We train harder than we ever have, and every year we get better, and that's what we try to do.
The women's team is coming off its 9th straight conference title, while the men won their 5th in a row.
Well, we're looking forward to making nationals. You know, we're the top 4 places for trophies, and that's what we want to go after. The women, I think we can be in the top 4. Last year we were second in nationals. We had a couple more people that point getters for us last year that helped out a lot. We don't have those people. One of them's injured, one's an academic problem, but I think we're going to do very, very well.
Whether it be on the wrestling mats or in the swimming pool, one thing's for sure, the University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux have one goal in mind, to do well at nationals. I'm Kent Bergsrud for Studio One News.
Almost everyone has left home and spent some time on the road, feeling like a stranger in a strange land. This common experience is the theme of the 21st University of North Dakota Writers' Conference, March 20th through the 23rd. The conference, entitled The Literature of Immigration, will feature Minnesota author Will Weaver. Weaver recently had his first novel, Red Earth, White Earth, made into a television movie. Conference coordinator John Little says 7 prominent writers will give readings and discuss immigration themes of exile, isolation, and resentment. And that's all for Studio One News. Tom?
All right, Amy, I'm still envisioning Greyhound buses pulled over with people getting out and walking a long distance. No fun. Florida and other warm places are about to be invaded by nearly 1 million people who'll be on a little holiday called spring break. Resort officials say they're bracing themselves for the annual event, which peaks for 3 weeks beginning tomorrow, March 3rd through the 24th. To deal with a wild and sometimes out-of-control reputation, major corporations this year are sponsoring concerts and other activities in hopes of bringing spring break back to a safe getaway for both visitors and residents. Oh, the trials of warm weather locations. Around here, it's hardly Florida, but then again, it hardly seems like winter. Studio One meteorologist Jay Searles is here with a look at the weather. Jay?
Thanks, Tom. Old Man Winter is playing us a little trick this morning, but taking a look across the rest of the United States, little rain taking place down across the southeast where some showers are breaking out with this storm system. Pretty weak system. That'll move off the coast later on today. Rain across much of the west into the northern California and some fog across southern California. Clear skies through much of the Rockies. Very pleasant day there, and that warm air that's going to be the key in our future. This cool air, like I said, has slipped down out of Canada. Old man winter's not letting go. And if we take a look at this morning's low temperatures, there we come. And 20s beginning to sweep down into northern Minnesota and into our area, 30s across southern Minnesota. There's some warm air beginning to develop down and across the southwest. That'll slowly over the next couple of days bring its way back into our area for the weekend. Taking a look at currently at the Grand Forks, and currently at 7, we have in the Grand Forks area under clear skies, the temperature is 23 degrees, winds are out of the north at 15 miles per hour, and the relative humidity is 52%. The tri-state temperatures, we can see readings in the 20s and the 20s across our region. That's that cold air beginning to move down. That cold front is now down just south of Alexandria, just about ready to hit the Minneapolis area where it's still about 36 degrees. That's what it looks like across the nation in the tri-state region. I'll be back a little bit later with the national forecast and a Red River Valley weekend outlook. Tom?
All right, Jay. Folks, if you have a skill in a foreign language, it could bring you a world of opportunity in today's global economy. According to the National Governors Association report, to compete in international trade, knowledge of languages and cultures are a must. Unfortunately, unless of course you're looking for the work, foreign language instructors in at least 29 states are projecting a shortage by the year 1993. You may find some competition stiff, however. Many schools are now offering instructor scholarships and loan forgiveness programs to strengthen foreign language programs. It's 6 minutes past the hour. From a global economy to our domestic economy, we'll talk to CEO Dick Danstrom about computers and changes in the retail business when Studio One continues.
Wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say.
The power of teaching.
The world won't get no better if we're just
The power to wake up young minds. The power to wake up the world. Teachers have that power. Reach for the power. Teach. I'm Edward James Olmos, and we're recruiting new teachers. Call 1-800-45-TEACH.
From the McGruff Files, the Philadelphia story. In certain parts of Philadelphia, things were rough. Areas were run down, crime and drugs were out of hand, and honest folks felt like prisoners in their own homes. People decided to work with police to turn things around. Weekly meetings led to cleanup projects and folks working together. Soon, the neighbors had their neighborhood back. That's what happens when people and police work together. Write this down, and I'll show you how you can help take a bite out of crime.
Welcome back to Studio One. In order for retail companies to survive, they must create and market products consumers want. Our first guest knows the ups, the downs, the ins and the outs of the retail world. Dick Danstrom is an expert in marketing microcomputers. He worked his way up the retail ladder from a trainee to a store manager for JCPenney, then to a top-level manager for Saks Fifth Avenue. Currently, he is the owner and CEO of Computerland of Chicago. Dick Danstrom, thanks for joining us this morning.
Pleasure to be here.
Good to meet you and good to have you here. If sales are any reflection to this, you are really bringing a lot of pleasure to the consumer. In the decade of the 80s, PCs really boomed. Are you going to see more of the same in the 90s?
Yeah, I think that for every PC that was sold in the 80s, we'll at least sell one or two more in the 90s as more acceptance of them. Keep in mind that PCs really became a consumer product in about 81 or 82 with the advent of IBM.
Why? Why, Dick? Why do we see such a boom?
Well, there's a need for them in the office for more production, make the people more productive. The computers continually become easier to use so that there's a wider range of people that can use them. We're not all hackers, but we can all use computers now.
Dick, how much does the computer market parallel the rest of retail as we project into the 90s?
Well, I spent some time thinking about that because, as with all those years in the department store business, I think it probably parallels it pretty closely. The consumer demands certain things, and from what I get from reading of my compatriots, our clients are demanding the same things that my friends at JCPenney companies, clients are demanding. More service, more hand-holding, more follow-through at the other end. And we may be unique because we have some technological things, but in fact, there's a parallel there.
Dick, who initiates change? Is it the consumer Or is it the retailer?
I absolutely think that the consumer, after 30 years in this business, I think we just respond to what he wants. And the people that succeed probably respond quicker and have a better feel for it.
Part of the pleasing the consumer is anticipating the need. Is there a tendency, especially in computers, to get ahead of the consumer? You're putting programming out with technology that is developing that makes things obsolete. Can you get ahead of the consumer?
Well, probably you can, but the things that you read about or the consumer reads about are the glamour things, the technology and hardware, the 486-based machine and all of these things, when in fact the actual thing that happens is that when software catches up, and software tends to be anywhere from a year to 18 months behind hardware technology. So when you read in some newspaper that they've invented a 486 or a 586, and the current machines are 286 and 386, it's easy to keep track of. They have nice numerical sequences. In fact, that isn't going to be a practical machine for a length of time. The 486 was announced a year ago, and we're just starting to sell it, and we're selling it to high-end power users, which aren't the average consumer. So in fact, software dictates it.
Dick, project to the end of this decade, and what type of capabilities will the average consumer have? Any astoundingly different things about the computer industry?
Well, when you've been out of the University of North Dakota for 30 years, you'll discover that there aren't a lot of astounding things that happen. Things kind of evolve, and I really anticipate, keeping in mind, as I said earlier in the program, that as far as personal computers go, which is what I do for a living, there's been an evolution from when IBM entered the market, and there have been no huge breakthroughs. Machines have become larger, faster, and in some cases easier to use. But basically, it's been a slow evolution. My anticipation for the 90s is that there will be more and more machines in the home, that small business will embrace them as they try to become more productive. And in the end, the astounding or revolutionary thing will be communication, in that you could be at home and communicate, working at home. If you were a lawyer and go into law serve and look up things, you wouldn't have to have a book, you could go to it. You can do that now, but there'll be more and more of that, and it'll be done faster.
Dick, one quick question, a quick answer I need from you. As a CEO, your perspective on this, a lot of controversy, opinions about the computer growing from the workplace back to the homes. Society's going to grow very introverted and socially shallow. Now, I know you believe in your product. Do you have any concern about that?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I was saying earlier, not in the program, but before the program, somebody asked me that question, which was a prep for this, and in fact, I see that not happening at all. And I see people having more time as they use computers to have more free time, and so social interaction will actually increase. A real quick anecdote on that. I really believe that it'll make things even better, if I can use that.
What a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming on this morning. We appreciate it. Computerland of Chicago CEO Dick Danstrom. When we return, our Open Doors segment looks at the Lady of Laughs, Phyllis Diller.
For some people, doing their basic tax forms by themselves can make them feel like they're climbing the walls.
My full name is, I remember that, Dependents.
If you need help, free tax help is available from IRS-trained volunteers. Find them by calling 1-800-424-1040. They'll make your taxes less taxing.
No matter what you're running from, there's someone to run to. Covenant House. No matter what your problem is, we're here to listen. Wherever you are, we can get you help. So call us now on the 9 line. It's free. 1-800 and keep dialing 9.
When Phyllis Diller first walked on stage, she was 37 years old, a working housewife, and a mother of 5. In 1955, she debuted at the Purple Onion in San Francisco. Opening for 2 weeks, by demand, she stayed for 89. The rest, as they say, was history. Today, our Open Door segment features the high priestess of the ridiculous, Phyllis Diller. There are some who are made to be seen, and some who are made to be heard. Among the few who are made to do both, there will always be only one Phyllis Diller.
Either you're recognized or you aren't. And now when I want to shop or do something incognito and I'm wearing a wonderful disguise, I dare not speak. Not, don't even think about laugh. Don't even say a word. Or they go, huh? You know. So my voice print is pretty special.
Do you have to, tell me about when you dress incognito. What do you get into?
I go as a nun.
Consistently?
Well, that's one of my disguises. This depends on where I want to go. If I want to shop at Kmart, I dress like Kmart people do.
And how's that?
Lousy.
Comedy today internationally is booming, yet you still stand acclaimed as the world's only female comic of international stature.
That's probably true, but I think Joan Rivers is now known in other countries. You see, we throw that word international in because I have for many years been very well known in Australia because I've done 14 trips and tours there, plus Canada, always, and wherever English, and London, England, and Ireland, wherever English is spoken, I have been known for years, happily. It's nice to be known as that. For 10 years, I had the whole thing all to myself. I was the only female stand-up. And then along came Joan Rivers. And now there's about 200 girl comics.
She is a whirlwind and a woman of many parts. The ageless wonder Phyllis Diller spends 6 months or more a year starring in her hour-long one-woman show, most of them one-night stands. She's an author of 4 best-selling books for Doubleday, a piano soloist for charities, a familiar face on talk shows, a gifted painter, and creator of her own line of skincare products and homemade chili. And her inspiration for all this?
Oh, activity. Now that may sound empty, but you know, when people put the way in the nut house, first thing that they notice that they're getting better is when they have activity. The first thing they do is give them something to do, you know. I've known little old ladies who've knit a white line for a highway in the nut house. The main thing is activity, even if it doesn't get them any place.
You've been performing since 1955. Phyllis, how has comedy changed for the better, for the worse, or hasn't it changed all that significantly over the years?
Big change, and it's for the better and the worse. The better is that it's a lot looser and the rules aren't so stringent, but the bad part is that some people have abused that privilege and gotten really sloppy dirty with the use of 4-letter words, and so then it's a kind of a cop-out. They don't really have any material, and of course they all abuse the privilege of using real truck driver words. You know, I've hit a few trucks. I know what they say. Oh, God, it's been one of those years. My fan club broke up. The guy died. I've been in town several hours already, had 2 obscene phone calls. Collect. I carried a big load of low self-esteem. And I've thrown all that off, too. Not all of it, but I think most people they don't really think enough of themselves. You have to fight for that all your life, I think. And a new face surely helped me. Now I don't have to come out just on Halloween.
You're the brunt of your own jokes.
Of course, that's the best way.
Are there negative consequences that you've found with that, or isn't there?
No, it's the best way to be accepted. You have to fight for acceptance because, all right, let me explain. Especially, here's what happens with women comics. Comedy is an aggressive, hostile act, and that is not acceptable in a woman. Think about the Madonna thing, the motherhood, the nurturing role, the wife. Okay, now a woman steps out of the Madonna role. She's standing up in front of you, naked as a jaybird, ego hanging out, telling you, I'm gonna make you laugh. Right away, it's hostile, it's aggressive, and you have to get around that. So telling them that you're not perfect and laughing about it is a fine way to be accepted. Then you can go on with the other stuff. First, you got to attack yourself. Otherwise, they might not know you're kidding.
What makes Phyllis Diller, the performer, unique?
Unique? Unique. Well, I write my own material, which, of course, that isn't that unique. Most comics do. I invented a woman talking about domesticity, which now Roseanne Barr is cashing in on. She's already got her first 50 million. And of course, I started that 35 years ago. And unique. I guess it's because I'm now old. I lead the pack in age. Ha ha ha. They can't catch up to that.
Phyllis Diller, would you believe? 72-year-old Phyllis Diller. It's 20 minutes past the hour. When Studio One returns, actor and director Al Eaton.
Kareem, we'll never see eye to eye on anything.
Don't be so short-sighted. We can both see that space research benefits everyone.
Oh, like the scratch-proof lens developed for the Apollo space camera?
That same technology led to scratch-proof eyeglasses, sunglasses.
And even goggles.
You wouldn't need those if your horse was always in front.
That's a tall order.
What we're learning up there
is helping us all down here.
Space technology.
This is what's in it for you.
Welcome back to Studio One. MLK, We Are the Dream is an Emmy Award-winning one-man show based on the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights era. It is a play that tells the story of Dr. King and his nonviolent approach to civil rights in the 60s and its effect on the world. Al Eaton helps you relive the dream through his portrayal of King on both stage and screen. He is an actor, writer, and director. We welcome to Studio One, Al Eaton. Al, pleasure to meet you. Good to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Al, in a nutshell, and it's unfortunate that the folks don't, for those that didn't get the opportunity to see you perform, in a nutshell, can you describe what the one-act, one-man play represents and the impact it has?
Well, the show is called MLK, We Are the Dream. I wrote it about 7 years ago. I wrote the show because I was teaching a high school class, and I asked the class of predominantly black students who Martin Luther King was, and the young man stood up and he said, well, Martin Luther King was a man who freed the slaves. And I said, well, I think it's time that I wrote something that will better educate these kids as to who Martin Luther King was. And I've been touring it now for about 7 years. And the show is not so much about Dr. King as it is about the people whose lives that he affected. And I didn't want to write a documentary. I wanted to write something that was going to be entertaining and then feed people the information.
So without question now, when you come to writing this, you're not looking for an audience to come just to spectate, but rather participate, correct? Would you like to see them move to some type of action?
Yes, I would like to see them move to some type of action, to take something from the show, to go out into the world and try to make it a better place to live for everyone.
And it's getting rave reviews, your performance, Al. You're too modest to mention that, so I'm going to for you. What do you attribute the explosiveness of your performance to?
I would have to say that a couple of things. One, I play several different characters, and I go in and out of character quite a bit. But I also play Dr. King very convincingly, and I mean, this is what people tell me. I've been working on the voice for years, and I've gotten it down pat. People come away and they say, well, I bring back the whole experience for them. I bring back the whole, the drama, the tension, the change that went on, and how it affected their lives.
Al, it's amazing how something as deep-seated, even as prejudice, can be disarmed and dissolved through drama. Now, this is your area of expertise. How do you explain that?
Well, I think I just show people, just basically through drama, what needs to happen or what has happened. I draw a very clear picture through these certain characters that I have of what went on at that time. During this time, January and February, we're so bombarded with documentaries on Dr. King and the civil rights movement that, you know, it tends to put us to sleep. What I do is I use the drama to bring people in, and in that way, and then I start feeding them the information. And I think that's what makes my one-man show a little bit more unique than any other one-man show or any other show that goes on at this particular time. It tends to be, most shows tend to be they tend to be very serious and, you know, a lot of facts, a lot of dates and things like that, and people tend to get a little bit bored.
Al, real quick, the selection of the name, We Are the Dream. In what sense, how are we the dream?
Well, Dr. King says that he had a dream that one day the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners would one day be able to sit down at the table of brotherhood. Well, we are the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners. We are the people who must sit down and dine on the moral sustenance that will make us all free. We are the dream.
Al, what a pleasure meeting you.
Thank
you.
The
best to you. Back to LA you go. The talented and inspiring performer Al Eaton will take a look at the weekend forecast when Studio One continues.
This company needs quick decisions. So does yours. This company needs leaders. So does yours. This company needs well-trained people. So does yours. So when this company needs to borrow people from your company,
come on, man, move it on. Let's go, let's go.
Remember, they'll always come back better than they were before.
Hey, Bill, could we get your approval on this?
Be a hero. Give your employees the freedom to protect ours.
You, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear.
That you will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute the office
of President of the United States.
Of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
The Constitution. The words we live by.
A couple items to pass on to you regarding events in the surrounding area if you're headed north or south. A hockey game you'll regret if you miss. The great one, Wayne Gretzky and the Los Angeles Kings take on the Winnipeg Jets tonight in the Winnipeg Arena. If that's too short a notice, they play again on Sunday the 4th, a rare back-to-back home series. For more ticket information, you can contact Select a Seat in Winnipeg. A little hoop action at the Met Sports Center in Minneapolis this weekend. The Globetrotters, with their share of dunks, laughs, and entertainment for all ages, perform and play Sunday, March 4th at 1:30 and 7 p.m. For more ticket information, you can contact Ticketmaster in Minneapolis. Jay Searles is here for one last look at the weekend forecast. Jay?
Thanks, Tom. Taking a look at the national map for Saturday afternoon. That cold front which came through our area last night will be all the way down in the south central U.S. Just a few scattered showers ahead of it and a little bit of light snow up in the New England area. Across the west, here comes that warm air that I was talking about. It's going to be pushing in quite rapidly, and by Saturday night, this warm front will be approaching us and moving through our area, and Sunday it's going to be very warm. Just a little bit of wet showers and snow showers out across the western Pacific as a little storm system begins to move in off the Pacific. Forecast in detail for today, we can expect partly cloudy skies, temperatures slowly falling through the afternoon from a morning high of 28 degrees as cold air moves south out of Canada. Winds will be brisk as well, gusting out of the north at 25 to 30 miles per hour, and there's no chance of any precipitation. For tonight, clear and cool with a low of 0 to 5 above, with northerly winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour, and no chance of any precipitation. Saturday, clear with a high of 30 to 35. Sunday, increasing clouds, but warmer with a high of 40 to 45. Tom?
40 degrees, we can live with that, can't we, folks? Our thanks to Dick Danstrom and Al Eaton for joining us this morning. From all of us to all of you, what a pleasure starting the day together. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again next Friday.